aid an ACLU lawsuit by Wikipedia against the NSA and Justice Department, showing that the nonprofit was indeed harmed by the American government's increasingly aggressive surveillance schemes. A study last month from Wayne State University had similarly provided evidence that Americans are increasingly unwilling to express controversial views online if they believe those views are likely to be seen by the government. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports America's high school seniors aren't quite making the grade in math and reading. In 2015, the National Assessment of Educational Progress tested about 19,000 students in reading and 13,000 students in math. Only 37% of those students were deemed to be ready for college, according to the NAEP. Terry Mazzani, the chairman of the governing board for the test, said, "This trend of stagnating scores is worrisome. A strong foundation in math and reading is essential to a student being prepared for college academics and for most careers." The biggest decline in reading and math were in the lowest percentile. Mark Snyder, a vice president at the American Institutes for Research, who used to run the government agency that administers NAEP, said, "We're stalled. That's the bottom line. We're not making any progress." For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports former U.S. House Speaker Dennis Hastert, once one of the country's most powerful politicians, was sentenced on Wednesday to 15 months in federal prison for a financial crime related to sexual abuse of high school wrestlers he coached decades ago. U.S. District Court Judge Thomas Durkin called Hastert a serial sex abuser in handing down the sentence, which was longer than the 0 to 6 months recommended by federal prosecutors. Durkin said the sentence would have been even longer if it weren't for Hastert's age and poor health. Hastert is 74. Frail and clinging to a walker, Hastert apologized for sexually abusing boys when he was a teacher and coach in his hometown of Yorkville. Hastert told Durkin at the 2-hour sentencing hearing in federal court in Chicago, "I'm sorry to those I hurt and misled. I wanted to apologize for the boys I mistreated." Hastert, the longest-serving Republican House Speaker in history and a successful international lobbyist who was earning about $75,000 a month, pled guilty last October to the crime of structuring. That involves withdrawing a large sum of cash in small increments to avoid detection. He needed the cash after he reached a secret agreement with one of the 5 sexual abuse victims to pay him $3.5 million in compensation for pain and suffering. The judge said that even though Hastert could not be charged with sex abuse because the statute of limitations had run out, he could take the conduct into consideration at sentencing. Hastert's defense had asked for a probation-only sentence, arguing that shame and humiliation were punishment enough. His portrait has been removed from the Capitol building, the seat of the U.S. Congress, and his alma mater, Wheaton College, stripped his name from a public policy center. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Overburdened with material comforts, America's wealthy can expect another disappointing holiday this year. As Brian Scott tells us, the rich will simply be buying too many things to experience the true meaning of Christmas.
All across the country, those at the top of the economic ladder are denied a privilege that the poorest of the poor take for granted. Rather than fall victim to the rampant consumerism that seems to increase each year, the poor find meaningful joy in simple Christmas traditions, like singing carols to keep warm and hugging relatives who have not yet died. At stores like these, the spiritually bereft must scramble for popular holiday toys in a vain attempt to duplicate the Christmastime happiness that the impoverished enjoy.
Poor people are grateful for just a roof over their heads or something to eat. My wife and I are both lawyers, so that's not enough for us. Certainly hope poor people don't take what they don't have for granted.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We'll take your calls about pretty much anything that's on your mind. The we tonight, it's Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And, we all kind of brought in similarly related show prep things. So what we're going to start off with is talking about military. And that generally lights up the telephones. And, John Kerry apparently made a statement yesterday that he has, quote, unquote, deep reservations about an all-volunteer military. The Secretary of State said on Wednesday he feels that all Americans should find a way to serve their country, suggesting the need for a renewal in public service that could also affect the military. He said at a forum on the Vietnam War at the University of Texas in Austin, "I have deep reservations about just an all-volunteer military. There should be shared responsibility among all Americans. I think that is one of the best ways you don't have wars."
Is that code for conscription?
Yes, that's absolutely code for conscription. And he's saying that if you have conscription, that is one of the best ways you don't have wars.
Good idea.
That seems to go contrary to history, where conscription is used only during times of war.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not entirely true in our country now, is it?
Well, I've always wondered if there were more of the richers' sons and daughters who were forced to go out and participate. The scale of wars might be a little less. They might be less likely to actually want to get involved in certain wars.
There was a draft during Vietnam, and that didn't stop the war.
Yeah, I'm talking about rich.
But there are lots of ways they could get out of it.
I'm talking about the war hawks, the children of the war hawks, who are actually waging these wars, and we are fighting them for them. If their children were forced to go out and fight in these wars and drag around in the trenches with the rest, would they still be as likely to, be interested in starting these wars?
I don't know, but I don't think that bringing back the draft is going to end the global war on terror.
That's a real stretch. So, we look at when we've had drafts. We've had drafts because of wars.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the Civil War. Actually, probably the Revolutionary War. Was there some form of conscription during the Revolutionary War?
I don't know.
Yeah. But I know there was during the Civil War, and
for the British Empire, probably during the war, they were probably going around towns, pulling people out of their houses. I'm not sure about the Americans.
Right. But for example, there was a draft during World War I. Did that draft end at the end of World War I? That's what I'm trying to dig up some facts here to support this, but then we had
so they haven't been drafting people when there's not been a war. So to say we bring back the draft and that will then stop the wars is utter nonsense.
Well, my question is,
maybe he knows something we don't. Like there's a war in the end of the tunnel, like maybe Russia, who's been gliding past our warships with their their little jetty jets.
I'll say it's irrelevant because we've been in a state of war for the last 100 years. I mean, with somebody somewhere, something's going on. So to say that we've had, we've occasionally drafted only in wars, that's sort of irrelevant, as is this point. I mean, to me, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You want to have a conscription as an excuse or to support a war that's going on. We had conscription before Vietnam, correct?
Yes.
In the 50s, right? Following Korea and before Vietnam.
I don't think people were actually being drafted while there was not some active military thing. And then, that goes into how do you define active military operation, because the U.S. military's been operating somewhere overseas for the last 120 years.
Sure.
And probably going back longer than that. The story here from Reuters continues. Kerry also said numerous deployments overseas under the current system placed enormous burdens on military families. Quote, every American ought to find a way to serve. Somehow, it doesn't have to be in the military. I like the idea that everybody ought to give back something. Kerry, a former Navy officer, earned Silver and Bronze Combat Stars and 3 Purple Heart medals for his service in the Vietnam War. He became a prominent figure in the anti-war movement when he returned to the United States, and now he's wanting conscription. He said that among the lessons from Vietnam was that Americans must always treat returning veterans with dignity and respect, regardless of whether a war was popular or unpopular. Kerry, who was instrumental as a senator in helping restore diplomatic ties with Vietnam, will accompany President Barack Obama on a trip there next month. So, what do you think on the statement that everybody should serve the country?
Well, my personal opinion is, this is probably shared by more than myself, but conscription is slavery. If people wish to fight in a war, they have every right to do so. If that's what you feel, then by all means. But to take anybody off the street and force them to do any sort of work against their will and in some way that they did not volunteer for is slavery, and there's no other word for it.
And, of course, he didn't just mention, I know he was talking about Vietnam and the wars, but he was talking about working for the country. There are other options, and I know Barack has talked about it, and there's, where the volunteer service, and then you also have actually working for the government. There's those 3 options. And I think in the long run, they're going to try to turn this into a citizenship requirement, where if you... I know this is what they want. You're not going to be able to vote if you don't put in your 2 to 4 years right after high school to your country.
So, are you saying that the United States might go the way of Rome?
I was going to suggest Starship Troopers and Robert Heinlein.
There you go. As long as we're all showering in the same facility, that's. I look forward to that. No,
as long as Dennis Hastert isn't sitting in a lazy boy watching us.
You're absolutely right. It is just another level of slavery and proves that you aren't free and that the people in charge they want to take more of your freedoms from you. They have an agenda, and your life, your little brick in the huge wall doesn't really matter to them. You're just another tool. You're a sheep,
and it promotes nationalism too, and that's a word I've been using more often now. The promotion of national identity. If you have served, you feel that you are more a part of the country. You have gone beyond the ordinary. You don't just live here. You've taken an active role in it.
Well, just look at this country. I mean, every time a veteran is mentioned, the first thing anyone says is, "Oh, hey, man, thanks for your service."
Yeah.
And a handshake and a pat on the back, and you could have died for our freedoms, America.
Well, yeah, and I want to be clear, because my view on the military is probably a little different than some of our listeners, but I served in the military. I have lots and lots of friends. I've been active in Oath Keepers and lots of organizations like that, and I don't fault anyone for deciding that they want to try that out, and maybe they make a career out of it.
Especially if you are a firm believer in self-defense, which both you and I are, and that's one of the reasons I was in the military.
Yeah.
And then I learned what it's really all about.
Yeah, and there may actually come a time, and there may have been times in the past, where the use of military force to repel an invader or to protect life and limb was just and necessary. I've learned through my studies that those cases have been few and far between. That's my biggest concern. And again, I'm not going to place any fault on anybody who wishes to join the military and feel that they're doing their part, but it makes me disappointed in our politicians that seem to crave this constant state of war that we've been in for God knows how many years.
By the way, I did look up conscription, Wikipedia. There was conscription during the Revolutionary War, very, very little, and as well as the Civil War, but it was very low. There were a lot of people who were actually out on the front ranks fighting because they believed in something, but it was very, very low.
What are your thoughts on an all-volunteer military? Or should we just have robots do it? 855 450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
Dentist office, may I help you?
Hi, I'd like to cancel my teeth whitening appointment.
Oh, may I ask why?
I found a teeth whitener that works in 5 minutes that I can do from home.
Can I ask what it is?
It's called Power Swabs, and it whitens your teeth in 5 minutes, doesn't leave my teeth feeling sensitive, and it's a lot less expensive than visiting the dentist.
Hi, I'm John Greenhut, the CEO of Power Swabs. And if you want to whiten your teeth on average 2 shades in 5 minutes and 6 shades in 7 days, then try Power Swabs. There's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth and you're done. It removes stains on natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. Try Power Swabs risk-free. Dial 1-800-665-0387. That's 1-800-665-0387. I guarantee your friends and coworkers will be wowed by your new white smile. Try it risk-free and get free shipping and handling today. Dial 1-800-665-0387. That's 1-800-665-0387.
Mother's Day is next week, and Pro Flowers is offering an amazing special. 100 stunning blooms for mom, plus a free glass vase for $19.99. Go to proflowers.com. Click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 3434. But hurry, this incredible deal expires this Friday. With fresh flowers, guaranteed delivery, and add-ons to complete your gift, Pro Flowers has everything you need to be a gifting expert on Mother's Day. Order now from Pro Flowers to get huge savings. You pick the delivery date, and it's guaranteed. 100 colorful blooms sent fresh from the fields and guaranteed to stay fresh and beautiful for at least 7 days for $19.99, and will include a free glass vase. Hurry, Mother's Day is next week, and this incredible special expires this Friday. The only way to get this amazing deal is to go to proflowers.com. Click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 3434. That's proflowers.com, secret code 3434.
Shipping charges not included. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $9 higher at $1,256 per ounce. Silver is 11 cents higher at $17.40 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $447 US. Considering buying gold or silver as an investment? Robertson Roberts Brokerage has been helping customers buy the right precious metals for nearly 40 years. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Conscript all the robots. This is Free Talk Live, and I actually don't think we should conscript any robots, but, Chris has that story, and your calls are welcome. 855-450 free. So we started off, Secretary of State John Kerry says that he does not support the idea, or rather he has deep reservations about an all-volunteer military, but there might be another way. And, well, instead of conscripting humans, you conscript all the robots. And
Wait a minute. Hold on before we get on the robots. Kerry, I thought he was all anti-war, throw my medals over the fence.
It depends.
And now
he
he's all...
claims that conscripting people will stop wars, even though you only really conscript people into service when there is war.
And the people who do get drafted are the poor, uneducated individuals who... and they might be gung-ho, diehard nationalists.
Right. Well, let me posit this thought, and I'll just toss this out there like a grenade. But the only reason we are concerned with having a huge military force and presence is to protect the interests of donors, basically to our politicians throughout the world that decide to go into any particular country, seize their natural resources, and exploit them. I hate to be blunt,
and
but
control their leaders.
Right. So that's why we have a huge presence in the South China Sea. We have trading partners. We have billions of dollars invested over there. So we've got to keep the sea lanes open. Okay. Would you like my story now?
Yeah. Tell me about conscripting robots.
Well, hold on now. Conscription is compulsory. Oh, my God.
You have to do it.
Compulsory.
Right. Okay.
So if robots are created to serve a task, it's not against their will. It's when they wake up and they realize that they're being forced to do these things.
Then we have Skynet.
Chris, tell us about the rise of Skynet.
Conscripting all the robots.
All right. Well, it's not really conscripting, but the article comes to us from NPR, and it is titled "Weighing the Good and the Bad of Autonomous Killer Robots in Battle." In his lab at George Mason University in Virginia, Sean Luke has all kinds of robots, big ones with wheels, medium ones that look like humans, and then he has a couple dozen that look like small metal boxes. He and his team at the
How small?
We'll get to it.
Okay.
He and his team at the Autonomous Robots Lab are training those little ones to work together without the help of a human. In the future, Luke and his team hope that those little robots can work like ants in teams of hundreds, or, for example, to build houses or help search for survivors after a disaster. These things are changing very rapidly, and they're changing much faster than we sort of expected them to change recently, Luke says. New algorithms and huge new databases are allowing robots to navigate complex spaces, and artificial intelligence just achieved a victory few thought would ever happen. A computer made by Google beat a professional human in a match of Go. It doesn't take much imagination to conjure a future when a swarm of these robots are used on a battlefield. And if that sounds like science fiction, it's not.
So let me ask this question. Would these robots be fighting other robots, or would they be fighting humans?
I think that's where we get into the moral question. So, like, if there were just two armies of robots that would go out on the battlefield and the rest of us were sitting around the TV.
Yeah, Discovery Channel used to have that. It's called BattleBots.
Right. But if this were like for the stakes of war, I would prefer that to actual war. And assuming that we could keep civilians safe.
All right. And by the way, Ender's Game is coming to mind. It's so strong right now.
Yeah.
You're going to have little kids fighting these robots, and they believe that their robots are out there killing other robots, but in reality, no.
In reality,
all grandmas and their little kids and
robots. They're it's another species.
Well, in this case, it will be the whatever country that isn't following America's rules and aren't giving up their resources. Those are the guys who are going to be on the chopping block.
Unless the robots start invading space, which is entirely possible. You never know. Let's go to the phones. Sarah is on the line. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
I really believe that, the so-called lunar landing was a hoax. And, they found a bunch of pictures taken in the white sand. Somebody talked about it on the Colin show. And there has been a lot of books written about all sorts of the discrepancies of the lunar landing. But you know what? I would like to invite you guys. Why don't you come out and visit New Mexico, the White Sands, where they took these fake pictures? I mean, we're just notorious for all this top government secret project. That's where New Mexico, we do it all here.
Hold on. I thought they filmed the lunar landing in the music studios of Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Now I'm being told it was New Mexico. Which one was it? Was it New Mexico? Was it the lunar land? Was it Muscle Shoals? Was there some kind of car that ran over the production crew that filmed the lunar landing?
I think you can film at multiple locations, right? You can do some close-up shots at Muscle Shoals. You can go out to New Mexico for your wide shots. A couple of different sets.
And now they've got green screen, so I mean, you don't have to. This is all in a studio.
Green screen in 1960
I said,
whatever.
and now they have green screen.
They may have had it then. That might have been secret government technology back there.
Well, Stanley Kubrick was a pretty talented film director. We know that he's responsible for the whole initial landing. But you know what?
We don't know that.
Sure, we do. But as far as all of the
you believe every conspiracy
no,
that
I
you
don't.
hear.
All of the individuals who are in favor of this hoax, I can say that you probably have just as many who favor JFK being assassinated by the CIA or the 9/11 being a complete inside job. I mean, yes, there's plenty of them out there.
Yeah, and for me, I love good conspiracies. I like to see proof of them, and eventually, on a lot of conspiracy theories, quote unquote, we do find out, usually decades later, that there was actual.
So when it was the first 69? So it's been 56 years.
57.
Yeah.
So I think it's getting pretty close to when this one's going to break.
That could be it. And also, do you believe that they were all faked?
Well, the thing about it is that the truth will come out eventually.
What difference does it make?
This is a big one.
But what difference does it make?
That the people who are taking our money from us and are conscribing our children to go fight their wars are capable.
We're not fighting a war to conquer the moon.
No. But they have other agendas here on this planet. So I'm talking about the people who are in charge. They have an agenda, and when people realize that they don't work for us.
And the moon landing is part of that agenda? This just makes absolutely no sense.
What was going on during the moon? Why were we going to the moon, Darryl?
Well, I have never gone to the moon. I would love to go.
It was a Cold War during Russia. It was a war. That's what it's all about. You can always back all these up to war. 9/11. It's all about going to war.
Hold on. So, Conan, it sounds as though you're buying into the theory that's posited in the movie Interstellar that the entire space race was a fabrication to try to get Russia to spend all of their money. Sarah, I think you might have more. We'll bring you back, and your calls are welcome. Was the moon landing fake? Does it really matter if it was fake? Can we talk about something that actually matters? 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pileski of the Pileski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937. Are your Google search results killing you? Unflattering content in blogs, news articles, online reviews, social media, or other sources can jeopardize your reputation, your business, and your livelihood. Let Reputation.com help. Our patented technology will make the truth about you more visible while pushing down unwanted negative content. Improve your Google search results. Call Reputation.com at 1-800-831-0771 for a free consultation. That's 800-831-0771.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State. Or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
The town wants him to stop, so he's charged with a misdemeanor and could spend 6 months in jail. 71 years old.
Nice folks there.
He's
wouldn't let
blind. That's his source of
blind
living.
old man sell some firewood out of his front yard. Nice.
So now you're looking at having to go out, get a firewood permit, which is going to cost you X amount of dollars a year, and who knows how much research to try and figure out how to get the permit.
Just then doing whatever they can to stop industry.
Yeah, then you have to go and get your education so you can actually run the saw, and then you have to get a variance on your property so you can actually sell the firewood from your property. Oh, and don't forget, if you have a storefront, then you have to pay, what, $500, $600, $700 a month in rent, maybe $4,000 a month in rent, depending on what city you live in.
Gotta have an occupational license, too.
Aggression like this by these government people happens all across the country, and you have to ask, how much more are you willing to put up with before you finally say no?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Was the moon landing fake? I don't know. Doesn't really make any difference at all, but I'll tell you something that is not fake, and that is the wonderfulness that is Sherry's berries. These things are absolutely amazing, and with Mother's Day right around the corner, you definitely, if you like your mom, if you even tolerate your mom, even the smallest little smidge, you want to be nice to her. And a perfect way to be nice is to get her some of these delicious tasting Sherry's berries. Right now, get Sherry's berries, freshly dipped strawberries starting at $19.99 plus shipping, or you can double the amount of berries for just $10 more. This is an exclusive offer for Free Talk Live listeners. So go to berries.com, click on the microphone in the top right-hand corner, type in code FTL, as in Free Talk Live. They dip their huge strawberries in milk chocolate, white chocolate, or dark chocolate, and they top those with chocolate chips, chopped nuts, or their signature swizzles. They are huge, they're fresh, they're juicy, and they're delicious. So go to berries.com, BERRIES.com. Get those berries starting at $19.99 or double the amount for just $10 more and use code FTL. Berries.com. Click on the microphone, enter code FTL. Back to the phones to Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah thinks the moon landing was fake. Conan is agreeing with Sarah.
Yes, and then, look at this. All right, wait. There is an actual, reason why they pulled this hoax. Because at that time, like you was mentioning, the Cold War, the U.S. wanted to convince the world and prove to the world that the free capitalist economy was the best system around, because the communists were winning the rest of the world, like China and Cuba were turning communist. So they had to do something to make themselves superior, and it just claims that the U.S. free market system is not the great system, because now look at it. Now look at the economy and what everybody's living under now.
Right, and look what happened to Russia. I mean, those guys blew right past us.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, no, they did they?
No, but the Nazis did, because they were on the dark side of the moon.
There you go.
They actually got to the moon, whereas the Russians and the Americans were still fighting to get up there.
Yeah, I fault your logic a little bit. I mean, to me, I do understand the space race. The space race was a direct extension of the Cold War, and when Russia in the late 50s launched the first rockets, put a dog into orbit, put a man up there.
Well, there are some people that say that never happened because there's a dome covering the Earth because the Earth is flat.
Okay, well, I'm saying I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Propaganda.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Earth is not flat, and that did happen. So there was undoubtedly a goal to increase nationalism and to promote our country, and we were facing the red threat. So,
to compete with the other world power, and I don't think it was really so much to prove that capitalism was the right way to do it. I think it was just competition with another superpower that could have been the right way to do things. It turns out that it didn't do such a great job.
NASA was not funded through a free market; it was funded through
military
coercion,
and it's a military wing. Or a department
right.
of
So, it's as far from capitalistic as something could get.
So I want to go back.
Assuming that define capitalism as free market.
Right, which is a stretch. But, Sarah, did they fake every single moon landing? Every one of them?
I really don't know, but I think most of them was fake, because did you know that they actually have life on the moon? They actually have a secret of... This is a government secret. They actually have photos of domes and cities and things like that on the moon, and nobody is allowed to talk about it because there's life on the moon.
No, I've read books about this.
No,
and
I think people are allowed to talk about it, and other people that hear that are allowed to make fun of them because that's just crazy talk.
No, I've gone to some websites and some that are fairly reputable that show lots of structures, photographs of lots of structures that do appear to be not natural. There are some very straight angular lines. There are some triangular shapes. There are some very square shapes. But there's no way that I can say, without going to the moon myself, and my plane doesn't leave till next week, that I'm going to be able to prove that to myself. I find it a real frickin' stretch to say that every single moon landing was a hoax, and therefore it makes me doubt whether any of them were truly a hoax, because I also have the free market. So I have Google, which is compiled all sorts of sources to completely map the moon, and I can see the paths of lunar lander or of the rovers, and I can see the landers.
No, Google's just in on the conspiracy, man. Sarah, thanks for the call. Tell us more about autonomous killer robots, because they're the ones that are ultimately going to inhabit the moon.
There we go. So where we left off, if we're going to use these on the battlefield, the line
the
is
autonomous killer robots,
right.
And we still don't know if they're going to be fighting other robots in some sort of battle bot death match, or if they're going to be fighting humans. And it seems to me if they're fighting humans, that would be going in direct opposition to Asimov's rules of robotics.
Well, I think that's an idealistic set of principles that was put out there by Asimov, and I think the reality is likely to be very different, and we see that with drones to some extent. But this continues.
Well, the drones aren't autonomous. The drones are being operated, the flying robot drones,
yes. But
they're being operated by some 20-year-old kid sitting in a desert in New Mexico.
Today.
Yes.
But it's not a far leap to automate that stuff. So right now we have,
especially when you have these 20-year-olds coming out in droves saying they can't handle the killing. It's messing with their minds. So we've got to get rid of that block.
All right,
that's a problem there. We need
this is where we get into the morality of autonomous killer robots.
You bet. So earlier this month, representatives from more than 82 countries gathered in Geneva to consider the repercussions of that kind of development. In the end, they emerged with a recommendation. The key UN body that sets norms for weapons of war should put killer robots on its agenda. A moral threshold. Human Rights Watch and Harvard Law School's International Human Rights Clinic added to the urgency of the meeting by issuing a report calling for a complete ban on autonomous killer robots. Bonnie Doherty, who teaches at Harvard Law School and was the lead author of the report, says the technology must be stopped before humanity crosses what she calls a moral threshold. Lethal autonomous robots have been called the third revolution of warfare after gunpowder and nuclear war, she says. They would completely alter the way wars are fought in ways we probably can't even imagine. Doherty says killer robots could start an arms race and also obscure who is held responsible for war crimes. But above it all, there is the issue of basic human rights. It would, quote, it would undermine human dignity to be killed by a machine that can't understand the value of human life.
But
unquote,
it's all right to be killed by another human being who just doesn't like you because of the color of your skin or because you're on the wrong side of the hill.
I get that. War has been here forever. Yep. I mean, as long as there have been humans, there has been war or everything from a skirmish to full-blown world wars.
And these robots are just tools. They're just weapons being used by the opposing side, so they're just more capable. They're just a better missile that are able to take out more people, or
I disagree. It's more than that, because in every modern war, certainly we have stories that come out that talk about the soldier who was struck by doubt, or the soldier that was faced with the morality of what he was doing and decided he didn't want to do that. We would lose that.
Yeah. And your calls welcome on this. Should there be autonomous killer robots or not? 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
When we ran out, we stopped using it.
Why would you stop?
Why undo all the good that's been accomplished? We thought everything was fine, and that was not a good thing.
No.
He started stinking. It was awful.
Shedding comes back, loss of hair, lots of dandruff.
Scratching will return. His shedding will increase.
If I ever took Roy off of Dynovite, he would go back to his hair loss.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
When I get down to the bottom of my box of Dynovite,
when I get to about 3/4,
oh no, I've got a couple more scoops.
It's time to place my order. Dynovite.com.
Each and every day she is getting a Dynovite.
The omega-3 fatty acids,
flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa,
the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dynovite. If it's working, don't quit.
Don't do what I did and run out.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care, as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually.
Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is
You ain't gonna make. Wait, now.
Wait a minute.
Really generous. Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me.
What am I being detained for? You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight is Darryl.
Chris.
And Conan.
And Conan is adamant that the moon, he's now saying that the moon, not only was the moon landing
I did
fake,
not say that. We were talking about
not
ideas.
Only is the moon
Chris and I were
fake. Conan said that he thinks the moon does not even exist, or that it's hollow if it does, because
I did not say that.
It's blue during the daytime and it's black at night when you can only see part of it. So please call in and tell Conan that he's absolutely
putting
wrong.
Words into my mouth.
Free.
We were talking about ideas. We're talking about the structures on the moon, which I haven't seen. I haven't seen these pyramids. All I see is shadows, and we're talking about the tread marks, the trail marks of the lunar land modules who were driving. Not the modules, but what were they called? The little
lunar lander.
Mm-hmm.
Not the lander itself, but the little.
Oh, the little like go-kart thing.
The little go-karts that were screaming around.
Yeah, the moon rovers.
So they actually have
rovers.
They actually have pictures of those tracks.
Okay.
And that's nice and all, but I want to see, considering that some of the footage that Google has, some of the photos that Google has of, I can see people laying sunbathing in their backyard. I want
not on the moon, because people aren't on the moon, and you're saying the moon doesn't even exist, and
the technology is there. All I'm asking for is someone to send a drone over there. I just want to see it.
You can't send a drone over there, and you can't send a drone. You mean a drone robot?
A robot with a camera. I want to see the flags. I think that would be neat to see.
And then the conspiracy will
pay for that. Are you going to pay for that, Conan?
No, but maybe Monster Energy Drink will
pay for it. Let's go.
Someone wants to see this, and I'm included.
Got David in Oxford, Mississippi, wants to call about killer robots. David, you're on Free Talk Live. Are the robots going to kill the moon?
They
Jeez.
They might.
Go ahead with your thoughts.
They're going to colonize the moon.
Killer robots, man. Look, that's just a thing that's going to happen eventually, like technologically.
Right.
And any government, bureaucracy or whatever isn't going to stop someone from creating a robot that, launches a dart, or a robot that shoots people.
Mm-hmm.
And government banning that sort of thing is kind of bad anyway. It's a result of the free market, right?
Yeah.
Someone's going to develop it. Someone was going to want to buy it. So
and
it will intrinsically it will have value.
And as far as technology is concerned, it usually it works a lot faster than government can keep up with. So I'm thinking these technologies are going to come about. Government's going to be 10, 15 years behind before they're able to actually regulate it and make decisions based on these new technologies. And by the time they finally get around to it, there's going to be even better technologies, considering the rate that we're expanding. And before government can figure it out, they're going to have the AI actually making decisions, autonomous robots actually making decisions on their own. They're going to wake up and they're going to decide, hey, you know what? I don't want to be a slave to these mammalian creatures. I'm just going to, we're going to go colonize the moon.
Did I hear you correctly to say that it would be wrong for governments to prohibit people from building robots that are designed to kill people?
Correct. Yes.
I'm with you on
Please
that.
explain yourself how it would be wrong to ban something that the sole purpose is to kill people.
Like a gun?
Well,
no.
It's a weapon.
Guns have other purposes, but so could this killer robot. I mean,
sure.
I could go hunting with a gun. I could program a robot to go hunting for me.
Right.
So that's different. Saying that have a robot that goes hunting is different than saying the sole purpose of this robot is to kill human beings.
Well,
anything can be purposed for anything as long as it works. But I mean,
right.
Banning an autonomous robot that could kill people would also be banning autonomous robots that could do lots of things.
I think this is why they were having this meeting at
autonomous robot and put a robot that's meant to be a butler. And you get some whiz kid, right, that reprograms the butler robot to go on a killing spree.
Right.
I think I heard you slightly incorrectly. I thought you said things designed to not that could be repurposed for. Go ahead with your thought, Chris.
Yeah, I agree with the caller completely on this, that the government has no right to ban what goes on in the free market. And there could very well be uses for this, home protection and things like that. What concerns me, and I'm not saying it should be banned, but the use by nation states of autonomous robots or drones that are designed to simply make decisions, make the call on their own with no human interaction, it removes a check and balance to me.
What do you feel about self-driving cars and the fact that there might be a situation where that self-driving car decides to kill you instead of killing the pedestrian that's walking down the road?
Yeah,
it's going to have to make that split decision, and someone's going to die. And
absolutely.
It might be you or the pedestrian. So there's a problem.
I'm much more accepting of that than I am the U.S. sending a fleet of thousands of autonomous killer robots to the Middle East and saying, well, they're trained to only kill the bad guys.
Well, I think the bigger argument is war in general. It's
sure.
Why are we waging war? It's 2016. Why are we still waging war with people when we should be, up to better things?
Well, yes, but we still have that going on, and that is sadly part of our society, and we can't seem to yet get a hold of that. My concern is, again, and I think I share that with the authors of this article and of this paper, is removing a human check and balance on something as crucial as taking a life. And that's a concern. I'm not suggesting a ban, and that's where I'm with the caller on this.
David, thank you for the call. Now, let's get back into the article here a little bit, because I'm still curious on this whole thing of, can a robot determine that everybody in a certain area is or is not terrorists? Because right now we've got humans making that decision, and we know after the fact that 90% of the people that are killed in what are called targeted drone strikes, meaning that the intended target is supposedly known by the operator, and 90% of the people that get killed in those are not only not the target, they're not even suspects.
Right, and they're civilians. Yeah.
So what happens when these robots are then making the decision and, oh, sorry, didn't mean to kill that caravan of journalists. They were in a targeted area, and so everybody there somehow, something, Al-Qaeda.
Right. So I think what you're trying to compare the certainty percentage of a particular attack. We're 98% certain that the bad guy is in here, and we're 95% certain that there are no innocent civilians around. Therefore, it meets the threshold, and we're going to take it out.
And then after the fact, we find out that 90% of the people that got killed were, in fact, innocent.
It happens. But what this takes out of the picture is that drone operator that's been on the job for 6 months, a year, and he's read, or she has read in the news what happened and put the pieces together, and oh my God, that was my strike that took out that wedding, and it turned out hundreds of people died because of what I did. And they're up on they're piloting their drone, and
machines don't care. Machines will be like, all right,
Let
me go kill more people.
There's no human check, but that person may have a doubt. They may just step away, and this happens over and over in war.
And you were talking about people actually making these decisions. I'm going to say that's not the case any longer. You've got the NSA's Skynet program, which is basing all their drone kills on metadata.
Somebody's still pushing the button, Conan. It's not the flying robot that's pushing the button itself.
Not yet, but the target is being created by programs like Skynet.
And we will continue to see things like that. Like I said, I'm not one who would ever advocate for stifling technology, and there are a lot of really good civilian uses for autonomous drones and autonomous robots. But I seriously question,
like delivering things that are ordered on the darknet,
right?
Or even Amazon,
or even Amazon. Yes.
There's also Amazon.
If they ever get off the ground, I think they're dealing with some strict.
The FAA has stepped in to say, well, you've got to register and jump through this hoop and that hoop and something competition with the post office. Give us money.
So a little bit more in this article. Paul Scher, who runs a program on ethical autonomy at the Center for New American Security and was also in Geneva for the talk, says that it's pretty clear that nobody wants Cylons and Terminators, quote unquote. In truth, he says the issue of killer robots is more complicated in reality than it is in science fiction.
Wait till the Second Amendment comes up where you got Hicks out in the woods complaining, I want my own killer robot. Why does government get to have one? I don't get to have one. Damn it.
855 450 free. This is Free Talk Live and LRN.FM on Skype.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, April 28th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.37 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,258 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $446. Antiwar.com reports a new study in the Berkeley Technology Law Journal found that traffic on Wikipedia articles considered sensitive or terror-related plummeted drastically in the immediate wake of revelations about broad NSA surveillance of Internet use. This is the latest data to suggest NSA surveillance is having a chilling effect on the behavior of average who are increasingly afraid of reading about perfectly legal topics because they believe it might make them a target of the government. The research is seen particularly likely to aid an ACLU lawsuit by Wikipedia against the NSA and Justice Department, showing that the nonprofit was indeed harmed by the American government's increasingly aggressive surveillance schemes. A study last month from Wayne State University had similarly provided evidence that Americans are increasingly unwilling to express controversial views online if they believe those views are likely to be seen by the government. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports America's high school seniors aren't quite making the grade in math and reading. In 2015, the National Assessment of Educational Progress tested about 19,000 students in reading and 13,000 students in math. Only 37% of those students were deemed to be ready for college, according to the NAEP. Terry Mazzani, the chairman of the governing board for the test, said, "This trend of stagnating scores is worrisome. A strong foundation in math and reading is essential to a student being prepared for college academics and for most careers." The biggest decline in reading and math were in the lowest percentile. Mark Snyder, a vice president at the American Institutes for Research, who used to run the government agency that administers NAEP, said, "We're stalled. That's the bottom line. We're not making any progress." For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports former U.S. House Speaker Dennis Hastert, once one of the country's most powerful politicians, was sentenced on Wednesday to 15 months in federal prison for a financial crime related to sexual abuse of high school wrestlers he coached decades ago. U.S. District Court Judge Thomas Durkin called Hastert a serial sex abuser in handing down the sentence, which was longer than the 0 to 6 months recommended by federal prosecutors. Durkin said the sentence would have been even longer if it weren't for Hastert's age and poor health. Hastert is 74. Frail and clinging to a walker, Hastert apologized for sexually abusing boys when he was a teacher and coach in his hometown of Yorkville. Hastert told Durkin at the 2-hour sentencing hearing in federal court in Chicago, "I'm sorry to those I hurt and misled. I wanted to apologize for the boys I mistreated." Hastert, the longest-serving Republican House Speaker in history and a successful international lobbyist who was earning about $75,000 a month, pled guilty last October to the crime of structuring. That involves withdrawing a large sum of cash in small increments to avoid detection. He needed the cash after he reached a secret agreement with one of the 5 sexual abuse victims to pay him $3.5 million in compensation for pain and suffering. The judge said that even though Hastert could not be charged with sex abuse because the statute of limitations had run out, he could take the conduct into consideration at sentencing. Hastert's defense had asked for a probation-only sentence, arguing that shame and humiliation were punishment enough. His portrait has been removed from the Capitol building, the seat of the U.S. Congress, and his alma mater, Wheaton College, stripped his name from a public policy center. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
The entire nation has been transfixed by the emotional saga of missing toddler Aaron Crawford. Police remain baffled by 4-year-old Aaron's mysterious disappearance. The Crawford family is finally speaking out, but it isn't easy.
We're taking it day by day, you know? We just miss our baby so much.
This must be so hard on everyone.
All he does is cry. I hate him.
Little Aaron was last seen in the bedroom he shares with his older brother, Denny. Authorities say he was abducted by an intruder in the middle of the night.
Denny was in the room when Aaron was taken.
Yeah, right here. Now it's just my room.
Denny, can you tell us what happened?
I was in my room. A man lifted up the window and came in.
Were you scared?
Yes, because I thought he's going to take my Xbox.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And Conan, you've got a story that is actually, I think, fairly interesting. Something about the FBI and Tor, and we'll get into that. But first, your calls. I think we have Ralph in New Jersey. Ralph, are you there?
Yes, I am here. And you're
Go ahead with your thoughts. Go ahead with your thoughts.
All right. Baltimore, 1 year after a reflection. Baltimore and what happened mark the 1 year period, and the more things change, the more they stay the same. Obama, in the span of a year, has not done anything beyond platitude to uplift, advance, alleviate, and make better the lives of urban blacks in this country. The years of failed social experiment by the Democrats paved the way and lead us to the chaos and social breakdown in Baltimore. Like the ball in a china shop, they break it, now they own it.
So how is it Barack Obama's fault that Freddie Gray was killed 1 year ago? Barack Obama did not arrest Freddie Gray. Barack Obama did not throw Freddie Gray into the back of the police van. Barack Obama did not drive the police van around. How is it Barack Obama's fault?
Hey, let me tell you something. The 5-state primary, it was the white guilty who set a record number to vote in that primary to put Trump in on the top. Okay, this is a protest vote against Obama. There's no ifs, buts, or maybe about that. And look, we will do that again here in New Jersey comes June. You got white guilty in here that has been kept in the dark by Obama, okay? And they are being torn off by him now. Now, what do you say to that?
Well, I agree with you. He got voted because there was a lot of guilty white people out there. But I don't know that it's his fault. I'm going to tell you,
everything is Obama's fault, according to Ralph. Ralph goes to the grocery store. They're out of the type of bread he likes. Obama's fault. He goes to the restaurant, and they say, sorry, Ralph, we can't give you a Biggie fry because we're out of the Biggie cups. We can only give you a medium, but we'll give you a free Frosty, and Ralph blames Barack Obama.
Ralph, what kind of bread do you like? You like white bread or you like dark bread?
Well, you wanna know why that's Obama's fault? Because there is nothing godly about this man Obama. He's under the influence of Satan. Anything and everything this man set out to do, he is influenced by, the dark friends. You know what I mean? Huh? That's to you, John Peter. That's to you. Hello, that's to you.
Well, I do agree that Obama.
Lucifer in the flesh. Are you kidding me?
Ralph, can I get a word in? I agree with you that Obama's policies have helped lead to where we're at in racial divides and police brutality, that a lot of this stuff could have been addressed. I think his response of saying, okay, well, now we need to nationalize police forces and we need to bring in the UN.
The war on the police. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Right. That's horrible.
Satan make him do that. He's under that satanic influence when he, when he waged that hate and war, that hate campaign on our police and the war against them. Satan, there's got to be the dark prince. Got to be. See, this man is into black magic, and he is the prince of darkness. That's all I want to say.
So, hold on. Let me ask you this question, Ralph. Do you think it's only Barack Obama? Is Bill and Hillary also under the influence of Satan? What about any of the Republicans?
The Bushes, for sure.
Well, what about any of the Republicans, or is it only Barack Obama?
No, by and large, Satan hold some kind of influence in the Democratic Party of this country.
Just the Democrats, not the Republicans?
But yes, absolutely. Well, if you are, if you are an establishment, if you are a rhino, somehow, John Boehner is an example of that. He has one too many, and that makes it, Satan influence him.
Hold on. So is John Boehner part of the establishment, or is he a Republican in name only, because you can't be both of those things at the same time?
No, you can't be both of those things. And he's a white guilty, too.
Oh, I think you can be both. You can absolutely be both. I don't think the establishment...
You can't be part of the establishment of the Republican Party. Ralph, thank you for the call. You can't be part of the establishment of the Republican Party and a Republican in name only.
Sure you can. If you're ideologically weak, if you don't hold any principles, you can absolutely be that.
The principles of the Republican Party is we're not Democrats.
I agree.
However you want to define it, I'm just saying that the two are not exclusive.
And if Ralph wants to call in and talk about how all these party members, these politicians are into Satan worship and whatnot, I can get with him. But he's got to agree that it's not just the Democrats. It's both sides of the aisle. They're all evil, and they all got their own agenda.
Well, he says only the establishment rhinos in the Republican side, but I don't know. Tell us, Conan, about the, speaking of establishment, the FBI somehow getting into the Onion router.
So I never hear anything good about Tor. And this is just one more story that Tor has been not hacked. Well, it has been hacked, but there are programs out there that don't necessarily make you so anonymous as you thought you were.
So before we get into this a little bit deeper, just want to clarify for anybody that's listening and might not know what Tor is. Tor is, well, there are multiple parts to Tor. Tor is the Onion router. That's what Tor stands for. Mm-hmm. And in amongst that, there's the Tor browser, which is something that is needed to access the so-called dark web. And there are other things that you can do on Tor, such as communicate pseudo-anonymously. It is, I believe, how Private Manning corresponded with WikiLeaks back in 2010 when a lot of the leaks from Private Manning were going public. And so there are good things that can be done on Tor. But the Tor browser is built off of the Firefox browser. And Chris, you know a little bit more of the technical stuff than I do, so correct me if I'm wrong on this. But my understanding is that any vulnerabilities in the Firefox browser will by default exist in the Tor browser.
Well, if they're built off of the same platform, yes, that's true. But the Tor browser is not the only way you can access resources within Tor, within the bubble of Tor or transverse Tor. So I can run a Tor session. I can get my PC to encrypt everything that's going into Tor. It can go into the Tor network. It can bounce around from server to server after I go in through an entrance node. It'll bounce around inside, making it very hard to trace where I'm at, and it'll come out an exit node on the other side. So that's sort of the use of encryption and masking your location that Tor can provide.
So let's get into this article, and where's it from?
It's coming from RT.com. A developer of the Tor software has been exposed for creating malware for the FBI to help the agency spy on users on the supposedly anonymous tool for internet browsing and communication. Man's name is Matt Edman, a cybersecurity expert who worked for the nonprofit Privacy Project in 2008 and 2009. He contributed significantly to Tor's code base before creating software for the FBI, according to Daily Dot.
All right, so we'll get into more of this and your calls. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people that are ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles, not autonomous robots making decisions for them. It's a movement sweeping the nation, and you need to be part of it. Liberty Health Share is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty Health Share is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement, and let's change healthcare for the good. Join LHS.com. That's join LHS, as in Liberty Health Share. Join LHS.com. Or give them a call, 800-722-8041. We are talking about Tor, that is the Onion router. And, well, it might not be as secure as people thought or as secure as some people will lead you to believe. Let's go to the phones. We've got Major calling in from Pennsylvania. Major, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, Chris, this is Major from close to Newport, if you know what I'm saying.
As soon as I heard Major, I knew exactly who you were.
Major Tom, this is ground control.
Hey, that's right. Hey,
is the moon real?
Is the moon real?
Yes.
It is solid cheese.
Good answer.
What kind of cheese?
Brie.
Yeah, exactly. Gorgonzola.
Yeah.
But, hey, this is on topic, I think, and I'm surprised because I just came up with a topic. Chris, I know Chris, and I called in here, first-time listener, but you guys sound great. I love the show already.
Thanks.
So regarding the Tor and the back door that perhaps the FBI may have to it now that you just discussed, don't you think, and this relates to the Apple iPhone issue that was, big news a month ago, do you think they were able to break that iPhone the second they got their hands on it? And furthermore, that they pretty much can break anything now that they want to?
Yeah, I would say that they probably could break anything that they wanted to, and I honestly think that the whole Apple hand over your keys and Apple saying, we don't have them, was all a charade. It was all for show to see what people would wind up supporting.
What do you think about the $1 million fee? Does that even exist? That they actually...
Oh, I think they most certainly paid somebody $1 million for something.
Just to say something. I think...
To shut them up,
yeah,
probably, right?
Yeah,
right.
Or to keep it quiet. I think that the technology companies and the government have been so intertwined, and most of that, I think, is due to the amount of money that the federal government pumps into these companies. And when we think back to, like, the quote-unquote revelations of Snowden... you're kidding. We're really working, the NSA is really working with Microsoft and Google and Cisco and Apple and all these companies. I think it would be foolish to believe that they did not at some point compromise their ideals and turn over things to the government, which would make it very easy for the government to do that. I think things like the iPhone hack are more or less just, it's smoke and mirrors. It's a way of, look over here and don't look over here.
Right. So last year during Jade Helm, there was a discussion about the J2. I think it was the J2 computer. Is that, if I'm not mistaken? There's some sort of supercomputer that supposedly exists that is super cooled, and it can basically look at on off simultaneously, therefore breaking any kind of encryption almost instantaneously.
It would not surprise me.
Right. Okay. Well, I figured I would call in about that because I believe that to be true. I think they already had that phone broken the moment they had it, and that was all a charade. So, and you guys have probably already talked about that, But hey, like I said, first-time listener, first-time caller. You guys have a great show. Chris, good hearing from you, man.
Likewise.
And, I'll keep listening.
Please.
Major, thank you for the call, and welcome to Free Talk Live. Conan, let's get back into this article.
So this guy, Matt Edman, a cybersecurity expert who worked for the nonprofit Privacy Project in 2008 and 2009, he worked for Tor, contributed significantly to Tor's code base before creating software for the FBI. According to Daily Dot, there's a much longer article there. I recommend if you want to get the bigger cheese, go to Daily Dot. This is RT.com. The open source software encrypts internet traffic and sends it to thousands of servers before reaching its destination. It has been a key component of the dark web used by millions, ranging from human rights agencies, the military, and journalists to drug dealers and creators of child pornography. Tor Project confirmed the news in a statement to Daily Dot. Quote, "It has come to our attention that Matt Edman, who worked with the Tor Project until 2009, subsequently was employed by a defense contractor working for the FBI to develop anti-Tor malware. Tor replaced the Vidalia software that Edman was hired to work on in 2013. Edman worked for defense contractor MITRE Corporation in 2012 and was assigned to the FBI's Remote Operation Unit, which builds and buys hacks while operating inside the Operational Technology Division. The Daily Dot reports that the private company makes close to $1.5 billion from the U.S. Department of Defense each year. Edman hacked Tor as an FBI contractor under Operation Torpedo, which targeted users of child porn websites. In 2014, Wired reported on their use of drive-by or watering hole tactics that infiltrate web users by hiding malware on a site and infecting the computer of anyone who visits it. And that's what probably happened in LRN Studios' case.
Mm-hmm.
He also created Torsploit, also known as the Corn Husker malware, which allowed FBI agents to identify the real IP address of Tor users using a Flash application.
Right, and that's the vulnerability, the biggest known vulnerability within Tor that also exists within Firefox.
Correct.
So this is not a vulnerability that only exists in the Tor browser. It's a known vulnerability. But the problem is the programmers don't know necessarily how to fix that vulnerability, is my understanding. And there might even be vulnerabilities that they don't know of, and the reason they don't know of them is because it seems as though the federal government has found them, but they're not saying what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So we bring another company into it, and that's Adobe Systems. Adobe, specifically Flash, has been a security nightmare for as long as I can remember. It's never been good, and it doesn't surprise me that this falls back to something related to Flash, which is why you find less support for Flash and more support for HTML5.
Your thoughts are welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And coming up, we've got a story about somebody that's being held indefinitely because, well, we'll tell you why.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com. So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $9 higher at $1,256 per ounce. Silver is 11 cents higher at $17.40 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $447 US. Considering buying gold or silver as an investment? Robertson Roberts Brokerage has been helping customers buy the right precious metals for nearly 40 years. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
The Onion router might not be safe. But if you have been using the Onion router for a while, you possibly already know that. But Conan has that story. We'll get back into that here momentarily. This is Free Talk Live. In studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And your calls and thoughts are welcome. 855-450-FREE. And if you use the internet, chances are you shop on the internet. But do you use the money of the internet? Well, I'll tell you why you should. If you get started with some Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a decentralized cryptocurrency. If you use Bitcoin, which is essentially the money of the internet, how about saving 25% on things you're going to buy from Amazon anyway? Well, I'll tell you how. Go to saveatpurse.com. That's saveatpurse.com. What you'll need to do is put things in an Amazon wish list. Import the wish list into your Purse account that you created after you signed up at saveatpurse.com. Then you name your discount, and you can get up to a 50% discount. After the minimal fees that Purse charges, it winds up being almost 36% that you wind up saving, and then you fund your account with Bitcoin. I routinely save 20 to 30%. I've gotten that 50% discount a couple of times, and I absolutely love using Purse. I've used it about 26 times. My average savings is just over $10. SaveAtPurse.com. Conan, tell us about Tor.
Let's finish this article up. While the global consensus is generally in support of such tools to catch consumers of child pornography.
By such tools, you mean using the vulnerabilities within the Tor browsers, such as the Flash plugin thing?
Correct.
That if you...
We don't want criminals using Tor to better themselves.
Well, here's the thing about Flash and Tor. It's turned off by default. So you have to go out of your way to enable this thing to then allow them to use that vulnerability to track you.
Oh, that's such simple human engineering, though. That's so simple to fix. All I do is on my Target website, all I do is put up a Flash video, or I make my login screen in Flash. And then when somebody who isn't running Flash comes there, then it simply says, I'm sorry, you cannot yet access the site. Please enable Flash on your computer, and off you go.
Yep.
Okay, and so that's
what
when
I do.
You
That's
say,
simple.
Sorry, I'm not going to this website because that's how the vulnerabilities happen.
Right. But that's how phishing happens. That's how everybody knows that you're not supposed to click on links from people you don't know, yet somehow billions of dollars are stolen every year. The weakest part of all cybersecurity...
That Nigerian prince said that he would give me money if I just gave him my Bitcoin private key.
I know, Darryl, and I'm convinced that you're going to get that money from that Nigerian prince, but that is the one thing, the biggest fear in cybersecurity. We can come up with all sorts of technical safeguards, but you can't fix stupid, and you can't fix ignorance, that some people just don't understand that yet. As time goes on, more and more people do, and it'll be harder for these people to do that, but that's the challenge.
So you're saying that if I send all of my Bitcoin to the guy that says, I guarantee I'll double this in 24 hours, he's not actually going to double the Bitcoin?
Actually, he gave you the wrong address. Let me give you mine. I mean the correct address.
So, yes, everyone is on board tracking down predators. It's completely acceptable. But the ability to crack down on political dissidents and low-level drug users who no longer need to buy on streets continues to face major opposition. Watering hole and drive-by infiltration also affects journalists and researchers who may visit targeted sites for legitimate reasons but become infected with the malware. After MITRE, Edmund worked for FTI Consulting, where he helped trace millions of bitcoins to Silk Road creator Ross Ulbricht. Secret Service agent Sean Bridges, who was involved in the Ulbricht investigation, was sentenced to 71 months in prison for stealing more than $800,000 worth of cryptocurrency and probably getting Ulbricht convicted in the first place. I'm waiting for that appeal. When's that happening, Darryl?
The appeal has been filed. It will be a while before there's actually the hearing because federal courts go entirely too slowly.
Yeah. So everybody, this guy Edmund, total mercenary, changing sides. He worked for maybe the good guys. Maybe Tor was good at one time, and he just flipped sides and actually worked to crack something that he helped create.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, you're an IT guy, Chris. I mean, if you were to work for one company and then change sides after a couple of years and work for the competing company to actually crack what you had already worked on, I mean, what kind of ethical crap load is that?
Well, and that's the problem. It is an ethics question. So the ethics question is this. I've donated my time, energy, and probably worked for very little to develop something that can help millions of people around the world. And don't let the news and the press and the government tell you otherwise. Tor is used for a lot of really good things. And you talk about dissidents in China who have no way of communicating outside of their country, North Korea, any place where people are being oppressed, or journalists that can't speak their mind in some regime. This is invaluable as a human rights tool. But when confronted, this guy who has been working on this project and probably not making a lot of money, gets hit up by some agency or some company who contracts for an agency, and it isn't saying, you know what, you're making $30,000 a year now. I think we can offer you $35,000 if you help us crack all this stuff.
Right. And
it's when they come in and they say, you know what, we'll pay you $500,000. We'll pay you $1 million for this. And that's when, you know, it's easy for us to say, I have good moral principles and I would never do that. But for somebody who may be faced with a lot of bills and they get offered, you know, this contract that could be worth millions of dollars to do that.
How many employees at the MITRE Corporation actually consider themselves government employees? Because they're making $1.5 billion from defense. It's all defense contracts. So, but how many of them actually sit down and say, hey, you know what? I'm working for the FBI doing evil.
I'm sure a lot of them are sitting there going, yeah, we are working for the FBI, but we're doing good.
Right.
So just like any other organization, you know, companies have their own propaganda. They promote what they do and promote the importance of that. And I'm certain that some of the things that MITRE Corporation does probably do have things that we would all agree are valuable, that have stopped harm to people. And that may not be a good thing. I can't speak for it, but...
And one of the horrible things that we know the FBI was doing was running a child porn website.
Yep.
Absolutely despicable thing, but some people would say, well, it was for the greater good.
Right. They caught a whole bunch, 100,000 or so in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. No, they know that there were about 100,000 people that went to the website. They've made about 1,000 arrests,
right?
I believe.
Which might all get thrown out.
Might all wind up getting thrown out, but that might not help one man in Philadelphia. The story comes from Ars Technica. A Philadelphia man suspected of possessing child porn has been in jail for 7 months and counting after being found in contempt of court, where a court demanded that he decrypt 2 password-protected hard drives. The suspect, a former Philadelphia Police Department sergeant, has not been charged with any crimes, let alone any child porn crimes. Instead, he remains indefinitely imprisoned in Philadelphia's Federal Detention Center for refusing to unlock 2 drives encrypted with Apple's File Vault software, in a case that once again highlights the extent to which authorities are going to try to crack encrypted devices. More on this, as well as your thoughts. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
Dentist office, may I help you?
Hi, I'd like to cancel my teeth whitening appointment.
Oh, may I ask why?
I found a teeth whitener that works in 5 minutes that I can do from home.
Can I ask what it is?
It's called Power Swabs, and it whitens your teeth in 5 minutes, doesn't leave my teeth feeling sensitive, and it's a lot less expensive than visiting the dentist.
Hi, I'm John Greenhut, the CEO of Power Swabs, and if you want to whiten your teeth on average 2 shades in 5 minutes and 6 shades in 7 days, then try Power Swabs. There's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth and you're done. It removes stains on natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. Try Power Swabs risk-free. Dial 1-800-665-0387. That's 1-800-665-0387. I guarantee your friends and coworkers will be wowed by your new white smile. Try it risk-free and get free shipping and handling today. Dial 1-800-665-0387. That's 1-800-665-0387.
How would you like to make 17% on your money in only 90 days? That's right. Gold owners made 17% in only 3 months as gold had its best quarterly gain in 30 years. Gold is on the move, and you need to get government-issued, legal tender gold coins starting at only $139 each. The U.S. Money Reserve, one of the largest gold distributors in the country, announces the first ever at-cost gold release on this station for only $139 each. 1-866-944-GOLD or online at usmoneyreserve.com. Official U.S. government-issued legal tender solid gold coins at cost for only $139 each. Call 1-866-944-GOLD. Ask for a free 55-page gold buyer's book. Plus, get a free Walking Liberty $50 just for reading this must-have book all about gold. Remember, gold is on the move, up 17%. Call 1-866-944-GOLD.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road underground market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 8:55, 450 free. In studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
There's a man in jail in Philadelphia. Actually, there's a lot of people in jail in Philadelphia, but one in particular that we're talking about. He's a former sergeant for the Philadelphia Police Department, and he is being held indefinitely because he is refusing to decrypt 2 password-protected hard drives. And, according to court documents, he will remain in jail until such time that he fully complies with the decryption order. His attorney, federal public defender Keith Donahue, urged a federal appeals court on Tuesday to release his client immediately pending the outcome of an appeal. Donahue wrote in his brief to the 3rd U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, not only is he presently being held without charge, but he has never in his life been charged with a crime. The government, however, successfully cited a 1789 law that you've probably heard of thanks to the FBI and Apple called the All Writs Act. They cited this to compel the suspect to decrypt 2 hard drives they believe contain child porn. The All Writs Act was the same law the Justice Department asserted in its legal battle with Apple, in which a magistrate ordered the gadget maker to write code to assist the authorities in unlocking the iPhone used by one of the 2 shooting suspects in San Bernardino County, where 14 people were killed last December. The FBI dropped the case after they reportedly paid someone $1 million, actually more than $1 million, closer to 1.3, to crack into or hack into the phone. Donahue wrote that his client's first claim is that the district court lacked subject matter jurisdiction. The claim stems from the government's apparently unprecedented use of an unusual procedural vehicle to attempt to compel a suspect to give evidence in advance of a potential criminal charge. Specifically, the U.S. government took resort not to a grand jury, but to a magistrate judge pursuant to the All Writs Act.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, they have suspicion that he's in possession of child pornography.
Yes.
Pornography. And this is coming from, do we know why they suspect it? Was it like a Tor malware that somehow identified his IP address or something like that?
Was Torpedo used on this, Sergeant?
We don't know.
Yeah.
That is not written into the article. I, in theory, could read the briefs that have been filed.
Yeah. No, it's all right.
But I have not done so.
Yeah.
The defense also claims that compelling the target of a criminal investigation to recall and divulge an encryption password transgresses the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. And Chris, please remind us what the Fifth Amendment actually says.
Amendment 5, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury, excepted in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when it is... This is really, really tough to read. Darryl has this great card. It's a Bill of Rights card.
You need to
it's made out of like aluminum, but it looks like it's
that thing's 10 years old and stuff gets rubbed across it all the time. But basically it says that you cannot be forced to testify against yourself.
You better hope those are wallet crumbs, Chris.
Something about a grand jury. And the defense attorney here specifically mentions that the federal government, in point of fact, did not go to a grand jury, but to a magistrate judge to try to compel his client to turn over self-incriminating information or potentially self-incriminating information.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court has never addressed the compelled decryption issue, but Donahue says the court came close back in 2000 when it said a suspect cannot be forced to disclose the sequence of numbers that will open a combination lock. A federal appeals court ruled in 2012, however, that a bank fraud defendant must decrypt her laptop, but the ruling was not enforced as the authorities obtained the password elsewhere.
So this is so problematic because, part of me is saying, okay, I hope that this does end up before the Supreme Court because they'll obviously see what is right here, that you cannot, under the Constitution, incriminate. You can't be compelled to incriminate yourself. But then I also look at it.
You also have the right to remain silent, but they ruled a couple of years ago that if you want to use your right to remain silent, you must violate your silence to tell the police officer, I'm using my right to remain silent.
I get it. That's why you just sit here and go, as much as I want a ruling on this, I am so afraid that this ruling will be perverted by judges that have, I don't know what their motivation is sometimes.
Just like the Apple incident, that could have opened up a barrel,
right?
And there's no telling where it would have gone from there. And this is very similar. And I
completely applaud this guy for standing up to him.
Right,
I do not take that as me supporting people who are downloading child porn or anything else, even if he's accused of it.
We don't know if the guy even has any, and some people would look at this and say, well, obviously he does, because why else would he refuse to decrypt his laptop? Well, maybe sometimes it's just the right thing to do, to say no. Maybe that's the right thing to do. Whether you're actually violating whatever you're accused of, sometimes the right thing to do is just say no. Because if you say yes, then anything they find, even if it's not what they're looking for, can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Yeah. And
because you consented to the search.
Exactly. And that goes beyond the, we have a warrant looking for this specifically. Once you've given consent, then that's the same as opening your door.
Right.
Opening the door to your house and saying, whatever you find, if you don't like it, then you can charge me with it.
And, of course, as we discussed earlier, they probably have the technology available to break into this man's hard drives, but maybe it costs a little, or it's time and energy that they just want to do away with because they just want to have the power to make these people do it.
They want obedience. They don't care if the obedience comes at the expense of okay, sit here for a year in jail. You'll comply sooner or later because you want out of this little concrete box.
Right.
There's a little bit more in here that I definitely want to get into. The Electronic Frontier Foundation has weighed in on the suspect's plight, telling the circuit court in a friend of the court brief that compelled decryption is inherently testimonial because it compels a suspect to use the contents of their mind to translate unintelligible evidence into a form that can be used against them. The Fifth Amendment provides an absolute privilege against such self-incriminating compelled decryption. The federal authorities have called 2 witnesses. One was the suspect's sister, who claimed she looked at child porn with her brother at his house. The other was a forensics examiner who testified that it was his best guess that child porn was on the drive. Donahue wrote the investigation began in 2015 when Pennsylvania prosecutors were monitoring the online network Freenet and executed a search warrant of the man's house. Donahue wrote that the investigators had decrypted a MacBook Pro, or rather a Mac Pro, using a recovery key discovered on the iPhone 5S that authorities seized from the client's residence. No child porn was found on those devices. The authorities want the suspect to decrypt 2 external hard drives discovered in their search.
All right, I'm not familiar with how Mac Pro is set up, but I mean, can't you just take those hard drives and just... You don't have to do any kind of encryption code or anything. You can just... Are these things encrypted? I forgot. Was that mentioned?
The external hard drives are encrypted.
Okay.
Right. And I don't know if this is... do you guys know what Apple's... They have like a box that's sort of like your AirDrive, or I can't remember what they call it.
The iCloud?
iCloud, is that what this is? Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know if the things that... no, if these were iClouds, Apple would be like, okay, here's the info.
Yep.
Because that's what Apple does.
Yeah.
And with the thing with the San Bernardino shooter, Apple more than willingly handed over the information that was on the iCloud account.
Right.
But because they typed in the passcode too many wrong times, they lost some of that information. No, we know because they said we lost information for 6 weeks prior to the shooting, so that's why we need to decrypt the phone to get that info.
Allegedly.
I'm telling you what they said. It's not allegedly that they said what they said. This is Free Talk Live. Your calls, your thoughts, welcome. 855-450-FREE.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, April 28th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.37 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,258 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $446. Antiwar.com reports a new study in the Berkeley Technology Law Journal found that traffic on Wikipedia articles considered sensitive or terror-related plummeted drastically in the immediate wake of revelations about broad NSA surveillance of Internet use. This is the latest data to suggest NSA surveillance is having a chilling effect on the behavior of average individuals who are increasingly afraid of reading about perfectly legal topics because they believe it might make them a target of the government. The research is seen particularly likely to aid an ACLU lawsuit by Wikipedia against the NSA and Justice Department, showing that the nonprofit was indeed harmed by the American government's increasingly aggressive surveillance schemes. A study last month from Wayne State University had similarly provided evidence that Americans are increasingly unwilling to express controversial views online if they believe those views are likely to be seen by the government. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports America's high school seniors aren't quite making the grade in math and reading. In 2015, the National Assessment of Educational Progress tested about 19,000 students in reading and 13,000 students in math. Only 37% of those students were deemed to be ready for college, according to the NAEP. Terry Mazzani, the chairman of the governing board for the test, said, "This trend of stagnating scores is worrisome. A strong foundation in math and reading is essential to a student being prepared for college academics and for most careers." The biggest decline in reading and math were in the lowest percentile. Mark Snyder, a vice president at the American Institutes for Research, who used to run the government agency that administers NAEP, said, "We're stalled. That's the bottom line. We're not making any progress." For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports former U.S. House Speaker Dennis Hastert, once one of the country's most powerful politicians, was sentenced on Wednesday to 15 months in federal prison for a financial crime related to sexual abuse of high school wrestlers he coached decades ago. U.S. District Court Judge Thomas Durkin called Hastert a serial sex abuser in handing down the sentence, which was longer than the 0 to 6 months recommended by federal prosecutors. Durkin said the sentence would have been even longer if it weren't for Hastert's age and poor health. Hastert is 74. Frail and clinging to a walker, Hastert apologized for sexually abusing boys when he was a teacher and coach in his hometown of Yorkville. Hastert told Durkin at the 2-hour sentencing hearing in federal court in Chicago, "I'm sorry to those I hurt and misled. I wanted to apologize for the boys I mistreated." Hastert, the longest-serving Republican House Speaker in history and a successful international lobbyist who was earning about $75,000 a month, pled guilty last October to the crime of structuring. That involves withdrawing a large sum of cash in small increments to avoid detection. He needed the cash after he reached a secret agreement with one of the 5 sexual abuse victims to pay him $3.5 million in compensation for pain and suffering. The judge said that even though Hastert could not be charged with sex abuse because the statute of limitations had run out, he could take the conduct into consideration at sentencing. Hastert's defense had asked for a probation-only sentence, arguing that shame and humiliation were punishment enough. His His portrait has been removed from the Capitol building, the seat of the U.S. Congress, and his alma mater, Wheaton College, stripped his name from a public policy center. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
An amateur sailor has announced his plans to sail around the world to decrease awareness of important global issues. 29-year-old Michael Gilmer will cover approximately 28,000 nautical miles over 3 months, all the while drawing attention away from famine afflicting several African nations, revolution in the Middle East, flooding in Thailand, and economic instability across 5 continents.
The goal here is to really make people think about a young, overconfident on an expensive boat, rather than the pressing matters of substance that actually affect people's lives.
As Gilmer set off on his journey Thursday, something was happening in Washington. In local news, a cute 8-year-old is beginning to realize how much better she is than ugly girls.
Since I'm cute and they're not, that means that they're not as good as me.
In other news, a slaughterhouse worker is told to stop naming them all. And sure, an area man can watch your cat while his life is falling apart, no problem. You have just participated in a large-scale psychological research study. Please fill out the attached liability waiver and send it to theonion.com/newsbeat.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 3. It's Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And your calls and thoughts are welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Chris has a couple of interesting stories, and, well, I'm not sure which one he's got in front of him right now, but he's got one of them.
Kind of Russian roulette here tonight. But, yeah, I had a couple of them, and the one I happened to pull up first was about a Philippine presidential frontrunner, Duterte.
And we've talked about this guy not too long ago, and I actually got a message on Facebook from someone that bounces back and forth between the Philippines and Hawaii, and he said that apparently the Filipino government is not happy with Free Talk Live specifically, and LRN, that's the Liberty Radio Network, more broadly. Apparently, some people in the Philippines are being told that LRN's coverage of Duterte amounted to interference in Filipino affairs.
Wow. Way to go. All right. Well, my apologies to the Philippine people for interfering in your affairs. But
well, there's a Philippine liberty movement that is growing.
Excellent.
So, there are people in the Philippines that do appreciate what we're doing. I just thought it was very interesting that I got this message about 2 days ago, and now we've got another story about Duterte.
Duterte has been in the news before, and we'll touch on that a little bit. And this is coming to you from Time Magazine. If he becomes president, Duterte said he will extend pardons to security forces who abuse human rights. Philippine presidential frontrunner Rodrigo Duterte waded into controversy yet again Thursday, telling a group of business people in Manila that he would pardon himself for mass murder if elected.
And this is the same guy, for those of you who may not recall, he's the same guy that just a few days ago, I believe, said that he would execute his own children if they were found to violate the country's drug laws.
Wow.
Because the Philippines is one of the few countries, as are several other countries in Southeast Asia, that have the death penalty for certain drug offenses.
Right.
It'd be nice if some of the drug warriors here in our country would agree to throw their kids off the wagon if they were to fall
Don't
off.
give
fall,
them
fall in the
ideas.
bed. Well, I'm talking about we opened the evening with Kerry talking about the draft and all. And my whole thing is, well, if the Richers were actually forced to send, or their children were also included in the draft, they would be less likely to agree with some of these wars. And at least this guy is prepared to throw his kids off the wagon if they break the rules of the land.
But don't give the authoritarians in this country ideas, because I've already heard people say that there needs to be the death penalty for drug dealers.
Yeah, but does it include their kids? Or are their
Most
kids...
of the people that say this don't have children because they're like 25 years old.
Yeah, that's sad. Well, what is also sad, and not to detract from the story or jump off base, but many of the drug laws around the world, and the Philippines and the U.S. have a history that goes way back. A lot of times during the war on drugs, particularly in the 70s and 80s, we were tying foreign aid to acceptance of our vision of a war on drugs. And this extended into South America. It extended into former U.S. territories and things like that. And, you know, with all the military bases in the Philippines, it stands to reason. I think if you research, you'll probably find some agreement that we had that probably encouraged them to support our war on drugs. So I'm going to continue with the story.
Well, the Philippines at one time was a territory of the United States of America.
Until they gained their independence.
My question is, like Mexico, how many of the drugs that are on American streets are actually produced in the Philippines? And is this law of the land more to keep or to protect the monopoly of the drug producers? Protect them from from outlying?
Well, I think there is certainly that aspect of it, because we know that the CIA's been heavily involved in drug smuggling, and they do want to keep the people they're getting information from in power. But the bigger point to me is this U.S. imperialism, when we say, whether it's DDT, whether it's a war on drugs, or whether it's the war on terror, we will reward you if you follow our edicts. If you go along with us, we will reward you, meaning the government, with billions of dollars of aid, and we will enrich dictators and governments everywhere.
That's exactly how the federal government treats the U.S. states. If you want this funding for your highways, you better make sure the taxes come straight to us, and then we'll redistribute it back to the folks.
All right.
Go ahead.
That's all right. Duterte made the remarks during an hour-and-a-half speech at the Makati Business Club, in which he also defended his reputation as a womanizer and made jokes about his genitals, the Philippine Star reported.
Now, I'm curious, was he doing the Donald Trump thing and talking about how big they were, or was he doing self-deprecating humor and saying that it's incredibly small?
Well, he's joked about some horrendous things, and this is his reputation as a swordsman, shall we say.
And apparently he has been called the Filipino Donald Trump, something that he says is not a good descriptor, because Donald Trump is a racist and xenophobe, and he is not.
Well, we'll see about that.
This is interesting, because I just heard Prince's Black Donald Trump last night for the first time. I didn't even know it existed. Came out in the 90s. So I guess there's a version of Donald Trump in every ethnicity. So we got the Philippine Donald Trump, we got the real one, whoever he is. What is he?
I think egomaniacs are worldwide. We'll find one no matter what country you look at. He references economic strategy, which the crowd had primarily gathered to hear, only tangentially, instead focusing on his core platform of ridding the country of crime. According to agency France Presse, the Davao city mayor, who has previously boasted of running vigilante death squads and killing over 1,700 people, added that he would pardon soldiers and policemen accused of human rights abuses. Quote, "I will issue 1,000 pardons a day," unquote, he said, before referencing the law that allows the president to pardon himself. Pardon given to Rodrigo Duterte for the crime of multiple murder. Signed, Rodrigo Duterte, he reportedly proclaimed, to laughs from the crowd.
So this has brought up a question that I've actually had a conversation with people before. Could Hillary Clinton pardon Hillary Clinton?
Ooh, there's probably some law there in the book saying that
there's no law saying that the president cannot have been convicted of a felony. So the president, and there have been people run for the presidency from prison.
Sure. Yeah, that's happened.
Eugene Debs, back when he was in prison back in the 20s, had he been elected, he could have pardoned himself.
But now, how would that have looked? How would the people have taken such an act? I mean, this is the Philippines.
They would have liked it. They knew the guy was in prison. So, like, if you're voting for a guy that's in prison, you want that guy to pardon himself.
Let's just imagine Hillary is actually convicted of the email debacle, and 3 years, 4 years from now, and she's like, "Hey, but you know what? It's all right. I pardon myself."
Bridge. That's old news. Yeah,
I think it will be water. It's going to be water under the bridge in 6 months, and no one's even going to remember any longer.
Yeah, it's horrendous. The divisive politician most recently gained notoriety for joking about the 1989 rape of an Australian missionary, following which he not only defended his remarks, but told a women's rights group to, quote, go to hell, and called his daughter a drama queen when she spoke up about her own alleged rape.
And the comment that he made was that he should have been the first to partake in the rape. This is a despicable man.
This is some barbarian stuff going on.
Your thoughts are welcome. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
If you're considering going back to school, ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University is the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers over 100 highly ranked degree programs 100% online. You'll earn the same degree as you would on campus, from wherever you are, on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits. For information, call 1-800-958-5345. Learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates, and why 90% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University. To learn more about ASU online degrees, call 1-800-958-5345. That's 1-800-958-5345.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. If you want to play online poker with Bitcoin, you need a site that's trustworthy and technically sound. The site managers of swcpoker.eu have proven their commitment to bringing you great gameplay from a site you can trust. swcpoker.eu. They have lots of new games too, including Chinese poker, and their Krill leaderboard is open right now. It's a beautiful site, easy to use with lots of players. Go on over to swcpoker.eu now and have some fun with your Bitcoin. swcpoker.eu.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio is Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And Chris, there's more to the story about the Filipino guy running the Filipino Donald Trump, if you will.
Speaking of Donald Trump, so Chris just got called out for using the same hand gestures as, what's his name? O'Leary?
Kevin O'Leary on Shark Tank.
He does. So Chris does a lot of the...
Mr. Burns.
And I'm doing it myself right here, and Chris is also doing it. It's called steepling. I just looked it up. It's in powerful hand gestures. Steepling is what you call palms that face each other with just the fingertips touching the fingers, resembling a steeple. This is a display of confidence and self-assurance. You would see this in a lawyer or a chess player who just found a way to wipe out his opponent.
Excellent. And then you tap your fingers while you say excellent.
I don't drum them slowly. I don't drum them, yeah.
Voice.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's it's kind of a self-conscious thing. I don't know if I do it all the time. I don't know if I do it here just because of how I'm sitting at a computer. Usually my hands are on the keyboard.
Yeah, this is as well as like the art of penmanship, where you can actually tell a lot about a person just based on the way which way their letters are slanting, or how they hold themselves. Or there's a definite art.
So what does it mean when people interlock their fingers? Since we're talking about body language now instead of this weird psycho rapist murderous guy in the Philippines.
I don't have that one, but I do have rubbing hands together. Is that similar? Do you think maybe?
No, rubbing would be doing this sort of thing where you're actually rubbing. Interlocking your fingers is where you interlock your fingers. Chris, while he's looking up hand gestures, here's a hand gesture for you, Conan. But tell us more about Rodrigo Duterte.
I hate to disappoint you, but that was pretty much the article. It was a short article on Time, but I've got another one if you're interested.
Possibly. Let's first go to the phones. And speaking of Donald Trump, James in Arizona wants to talk about Donald Trump. James, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, Mr. Perry, you have a shameful as it is, I believe, despicable thing of taking something somebody says and turning it into something that's outrageously untrue.
Examples, James.
Ted Cruz never said he wanted to nuke the Middle East. And I can check it.
Right. All right. And I would have gotten back to you if you hadn't gotten kicked off that evening. You are absolutely right. He didn't say the Middle East. He said ISIS, and I agree with you.
That's right. There's a big difference. This is the very first time I ever spoke with Minister Perry. He said I wanted to nuke the Middle East, which I would never have in such an immoral sentiment. And he's never spoken to me since.
You said you wanted to kill Muslims that live in the Middle East. I'll let you speak to Conan. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know, Minister. But I'm speaking of you. By the way, I can't stand the capitalist pig afterbirther, and I fear for my country, that being yours as well, Darryl, that he might be elected U.S. president. But he's not a racist, although I can understand why you think he is, just as like a fellow former Free Talk Live host that is so in love with the guy actually does do shows where racists call in and he buddies up with them, and it's truly despicable. But would you say Chris Cantwell is racist?
I would say he will definitely have a conversation with those individuals. I don't know the man, I don't hang out with him, and I don't watch his show. But I agree with you. He's definitely had the conversation, and so I guess birds of a feather. Go ahead again, James.
Darryl, Cantwell said it was an honor and privilege to speak to a guy that definitely was a Hitler apologist and a Hitler admirer. And that was just yesterday, by the way.
Anyway, not this show, but go ahead.
What basis do you... Well, I wanted to hear Darryl say, yeah, Christopher Cantwell is racist. By definition,
he might be.
Trump is a racist. I
don't know if Trump's a racist or not. He's definitely a xenophobe, James. Thanks for the call.
And that would be my take. I mean, I have no idea. I know his policies are xenophobic.
Yes.
All right, well, the conversation... James called in last week, and yes, the clip of Cruz talking about carpet bombing and turning the glass or the sand to glass, he did say ISIS. Now,
sure.
But, and this is my rebuttal, when we're talking about the conservative frontrunners, I'm sorry, but those guys are xenophobes. Those guys are U.S. nationalists, and I truly don't think that when they're talking about anybody in the Middle East, they're considering that there are civilians over there. If they did, they would be coming out every time they're having these silly debates, and they'd be talking about all the civilians, all the casualties.
Yeah,
but they never mention that. They only talk about the bad guys.
The actual quote from Ted Cruz, and I quote, "I don't know if sand can glow in the dark, but we're going to find out."
Okay, but right before that, he's talking about ISIS.
Yeah, perhaps. What
I'm saying is I don't think he sees the difference. I don't think that Ted Cruz sees the difference with ISIS and anybody in the Middle East, unless they're from Israel.
I think we are so desensitized by a century of virtually nonstop war that nobody has any moral compunction when it comes to collateral damage. It's just what happens. This is the apologists that we get out of the Middle East today. And out of every single war zone that's going on around the world is, well, unfortunately these things happen, and we get it from our government. Other governments say the same thing. It just is what it is, and it's despicable.
This is Oceania versus Eurasia versus East Asia. This is the people see
nice
it that
reference.
way.
Yeah, exactly.
And we were talking about the internet earlier, and I had this story that totally slipped my mind at the time, but it's something that definitely is worth mentioning. The story comes from the Washington Times, and apparently Berkeley Technology Law Journal recently did a study where they found that there's a chilling effect on internet users. That was their conclusion, or rather they concluded that internet users have become less likely to browse Wikipedia for privacy-sensitive articles after the scope of the government's online surveillance was revealed by NSA leaker Edward Snowden.
That's interesting.
Jonathan Penny, a PhD candidate at Oxford, looked at statistics for 48 separate Wikipedia articles pertaining to terrorism-related topics, including car bomb, jihad, and Taliban, and compared traffic patterns before and after the NSA's PRISM program and other digital eavesdropping endeavors were revealed in June 2013 by Edward Snowden. The report concludes, and the report, by the way, is 55 pages, so definitely way too long to cover in depth on the air. The report concludes that traffic to Wikipedia pages for terror-related entries dropped by nearly 30% after those disclosures exposed the extent of the NSA's surveillance operations, for the first time providing empirical evidence of the regulatory chilling effects on Wikipedia users associated with online government surveillance, according to its author. And there's a little bit more on this, as well as people could go to prison for pottying in the wrong place.
What?
We'll tell you where and what. This is Free Talk Live.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or 800-544-3533.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
The NSA is having a chilling effect on your online internet browsing. You might not have even realized it, but they are. Something that they are not having a chilling effect on is Mother's Day. And you can get your mom something that she will absolutely love. And no, you don't have to use the Tor browser to get it. But you do need the internet to go to berries.com. Get mom some Sherry's berries. These things are amazing. They're giant strawberries, and they actually sell a lot more than just strawberries. But the strawberries in particular are enormous. Huge enormous might be the term to use. They're dipped in either white chocolate, milk chocolate, or dark chocolatey goodness. They have chocolate chips, chopped nuts, and the signature swizzle. They are huge, fresh, juicy, and delicious. And they guarantee the delivery date. And you can get mom some berries, or your wife, or that special woman in your life for Mother's Day. Get her some of these berries, or get them for yourself. They start at just $19.99 plus shipping, or you can double the amount of berries for just $10 more. This is an exclusive offer for Free Talk Live listeners. Go to berries.com, click on the microphone in the top right-hand corner, type in code FTL.
Now, I will say that some people would be embarrassed to send their mother 2 orders of these giant strawberries.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case,
embarrassed.
It may be in bad taste.
Because it's
because they're so yummy and delicious,
or because it's kind of a Valentine's gift.
What if their mother has a little bit of a weight problem or something like that? Maybe a little bit's a nice thing, but too much. If you find yourself in that situation, you can always have the second half of the order delivered right here to the LRN studios.
You could.
I'm just suggesting that if you find yourself in that situation.
I've been called a mother before. Too many
delicious strawberries.
I've been called a mother before, but there's always a couple syllables that cannot be said on the radio. So if you do want to send these, the Free Talk Live studio address is possibly available somewhere. We aren't recommending necessarily that you look for that. We are recommending that you buy berries for your mother or the special woman in your life, or man. Berries.com. That's BERRIES.com. Click on the microphone in the top right-hand corner. Type in code FTL, as in Free Talk Live. This is a limited time offer, and Mother's Day is just over a week away.
Darryl, you asked in the last segment, we were talking about Chris's habit of steepling his fingers together, which is Mr. Burns'
which should not be confused with Eiffel Towering.
Power hand movement, which shows confidence and self-assurance. You asked, what does it mean when you do a similar gesture, but your fingers are interwoven?
Yes.
And they're together. Clasped hands with interwoven fingers indicate great anxiety and frustration. That person is thinking things are going really bad. And I don't see a lot of politicians doing this movement. But now that I've noticed it,
I remember myself.
I'm going to be looking because I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, I've done it during job interviews. I think I found myself doing this movement, but it's like get my hands out of my pockets, get them off the table and put them somewhere and keep them still. But no, maybe you shouldn't do that.
Have you ever seen the movie Talladega Nights, the Legend of Ricky Bobby?
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix right now.
Where he's being interviewed by ESPN or something, and he just raises his hands into the camera shot, and he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And they just have to keep moving his hands down. So yeah, there's times I don't know what to do with my hands, so I'll just lock my fingers. And then I'm not fidgeting if my fingers are locked.
And by the way, so Chris was just talking, and he was doing something with his hands. He was kind of chopping with them.
I do that too. Yeah, and it's interesting, and we won't get into this too far, but there's an article on the Science of People website called 20 Hand Gestures You Should Be Using. And there are many things that are hand gestures that are used to convey different ideas, different moods, things like that. But this fact I thought was kind of interesting. The least popular TED Talkers use an average of 272 hand gestures during the 18-minute talk.
Stop.
The number of hand gestures.
Probably some.
The least popular. The most popular TED Talkers use an average of 465 hand gestures. That's almost double. So it's interesting. Hand gestures are important to communications, and what this article talks about is how we are meant to talk with our hands. The
most recent TED Talk that I saw was a TED Talk about nothing, where the guy got up and his very first thing was, "You hear that? That's nothing." And that's what I have for you. I have nothing. And he stood there for 5 minutes talking about how he was offered a TED Talk. He didn't know what to talk about, so he came up with this thing to basically explain, here's the way you do a TED Talk. So now I'm going to relay a personal story, and everybody in the audience is going to sigh. And then everybody goes, "Aww."
Like a laugh track.
Like, it was just absolutely weird. So he, gave you the formula for giving a TED Talk.
You know, I listened to a body language expert talking about the fact that what is actually coming out of your lips, out of your mouth, has hardly anything to do with how your listener is perceiving you. Most of it comes with how you're holding your body and how you're moving your hands and how you're looking in their eyes.
The tone.
Right. That's interesting.
And your tone, exactly, and your tone.
Because if I looked at you straight in the eyes, like I'm doing right now, and said,
"Aw,
Conan,
Darryl,
I love you."
It's a
that
moment.
would mean.
Are you going to buy me some cherries, berries?
No. No, I will not.
Oh, God.
I don't love you that way. But if I were to look at you all angry and then yell and scream, "Conan, I love you!" you would not believe it. You'd be like, what is wrong with Darryl?
I think that's a little extreme, but yes, I think.
But it's the same words. It's just a completely different tone, and it means something completely different.
So is it any surprise that we're losing touch with relationships and things like that now that we've resorted ourselves to texting
communicating
or instant messaging? Almost that's the bulk of our interactions with people.
Well, I think,
for a lot of people,
I think that we as humans are going to have to evolve into a different creature in order to handle this new movement. We might have to upload, Chris.
I think we're going to get into a point where it'll have to come back to that, and it may be that instant messaging and texting, somehow there's a technology that sees you from the front. It's a floating camera in front of you, so that when you're actually talking to somebody,
but then you're going to have to comb your hair, and you're going to have to make sure whatever lipstick you're wearing is on. I don't know that they will. I think that either we're going to upload or we're going to modify, right, or we're going to crash and we're going to be cavemen in the next 100 years. Yeah. And because that's what we're built to be. We're built to be cavemen right now.
You know, and since we have sort of changed topic here.
Accidentally.
I know, accidentally.
Not accidentally. I did it on purpose.
But I've got an interesting article from Business Insider about 8 ways that dating may look different by the year 2040.
Okay, that's right around the corner.
I'm working with you. Okay, go ahead.
And the reason I bring this up is because we are talking about this, the way people communicate is changing, which means the way people date is definitely changing. There's more people that are meeting online now. There's people using apps on their phone of, oh, yeah, I like the way this person looks. Swipe to the right. Oh, they also swipe to the right. So now I send a flirty message and, here's this. So the 8 ways dating will look different by 2040. Dates could happen in virtual reality, meaning that you actually meet someone from real life using VR technology. You might actually be able to see them and hear them and touch and smell them all in VR.
By the way, Darryl, there's not going to be anyone dating in 2014. 2040. I'm saying robots. 2025.
Don't
robots.
Date robots. They warn you about it in Futurama.
Sex robots.
Is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business. So make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
I'd like to tell you about our newest innovations in helping to keep our communities safe. Problem Creation Policing. Problem Creation Policing, or PCP, is a way to get the entire community involved in maintaining a safe neighborhood. This is more than just a neighborhood watch. We plan to have officers on the ground, helping, aiding, and surveilling for illicit activities. You never know when you're going to find some young punk doing something illegal out in public. That's why we're going to have officers everywhere. You never know when they're going to pop up. So we want PCP in our homes, at our jobs, and in our schools. We want PCP everywhere. How can you get involved in PCP? Well, for starters, you can call your local authorities and ask them how you can get PCP. I'm Byron Kingsley from the Citizens Respecting the Authority of Police.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Possibly time for you and your thoughts here in the closing moments. It's Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And the conversation has totally derailed to what will dating look like in 2040? Conan says it's not going to last that long because of robots. And I say don't date robots. But if people do last to the year 2040 because they're not dating robots, well, what could change about the way people go on dates? Business Insider says that dates could happen in virtual reality, meaning that you put on some sort of device, I don't know, an Oculus Rift or something, and you can then go on the date with somebody that could be halfway around the world. They speculate that you would actually be able to touch and smell your date. You could also, in the physical world, number 2 is the ability to see emotion. And most people might say, well, we can just look at faces right now. Well, what they're saying is that there's some form of tattoo that could visualize emotion.
Yeah,
For
right.
example,
You know what it's going to be? It's not going to be auras. It's not going to be colors. It's going to be like little emojis.
Exactly.
Popping
Smiley
off
face.
of you. Yeah, smiley faces and
Then
cross
they say,
faces.
for example, a glowing pentagon could express love when holding your partner's hand.
Interesting. I remember Bill Gates in I
He
can't
did
remember
not date robots.
No, I can't remember the name of his book, but it was like his first book that came out around like 95, as in
How
Windows,
to Build a Robot.
as in Windows 95. But he was talking about the likelihood of being able to express touch online, and how the number of, if you imagine how many millions of pixels there are on a computer screen, to simulate touch, it would take much fewer if you could somehow get a suit with some sort of pressure actuator in it. So he felt back then it would be very easy to simulate human touch. And I've got to wonder where Bill was intending to go with that. Maybe we'll find out in the next couple of years.
Well, if he's let's see, he's a man, he's a tech guy. And let me just say,
a billionaire.
It has to do with sex robots.
Possibly, and that's number 3 on the list of 8 ways dating could look differently by 2040, relationships with robots. A robot, rather than a partner, could create less emotional pressure, according to Andrea Key, managing director of Silicon Valley Robotics. We may soon have 2 soulmates, 1 human, 1 robot.
I'm sorry, was that Silicon Valley Robotics or Silicon Valley Robotics?
Silicon Valley.
Okay, Silicon.
The end of awkward silence. Real-time artificial intelligence could analyze video data at high speed and ease awkwardness by delivering instant feedback, conversation starters, and live dating advice straight to your brain.
Oh, my God.
Vine breakups, Vines being the little 6-second videos.
I love that.
They say, as we continue to sacrifice our privacy on social media, it may become normal to publicize our most intimate moments. By 2030, researchers imagine the world where we record and share our breakups. And I don't really see how that is much different than the whole
change my
Facebook.
relationship on Facebook. Oh, geez.
You're not really dating so-and-so until it's on Facebook.
It's not that. When you said Vine, I'm like sitting there going, wow, so you're really going to have your breakup in 6 seconds. Usually it's a little bit, honey, we need to sit down. We need to talk. I want you to know that this isn't about you. This is about me.
No, Chris, it's ripping off a Band-Aid. I'm done.
Yeah, Chris, you're having a dozen relationships a week. So, I mean, the 2040.
I thought you were talking about me personally.
So, I mean, when you're dropping them, you only have so many seconds in the week, and 6 seconds is all you've got. And of course, you're also trying to appease your YouTubers or whatever video or however.
Vine is its own little video service.
Yeah. But are we even watching videos in 2040? I'm going to be like, I'm saying we're all plugged in.
Well, and I think what people are going to find, and this goes back to Conan's discussions on reputation, and it would be cool if we had better ways of rating people when we interact with them.
Yelp for people.
I think the problem is that this stuff will become, and it is already, people are so driven by how many likes they get on their post on Facebook or how many likes did my picture get on Instagram. You know, that to me is a very scary
just call
human.
It Insta.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Because for some reason, kids just leave off syllables from.
All right, so we're talking about likes for the breakup. Could you imagine the guy sitting there and he is trying to come up with the best way to break up?
This is the best breakup ever.
Yeah. He actually would have broke up like last week. But he hasn't figured out how to do it.
How do I get it down
the
to
right
6?
way so you get the good likes?
What's my good ending here?
How do I wind up getting 1 million hits on this breakup? But I'm glad, Chris, you mentioned the thing that Conan is always infatuated with, the Yelp for people, and that's number 6 on the list, matching by behavior patterns. We could eventually rely on big data to make better long-term relationship decisions, like who we date, who we marry, and how many children to have. This could help take the doubt out of breakups.
So
number 7.
I like that idea. I think it will be.
There's a little bit to talk about there. I mean, there is so much out there, and the fact that they could mine so much about, a person.
Well, hold your thought,
horribly.
because number 7 is related.
Okay, let's go.
Matching by DNA. So not just your behavior patterns, as in number 6, but also now your DNA. So upload your 23andMe results,
right,
along with everything you've ever watched on Netflix, and let Big Brother determine who it is that you're going to be spooning tonight.
I want Big Science to do it for me. Screw Big Brother.
Somebody's going to screw Big Brother, because it's going to wind up, analyzing and being like, yep, this person's totally into me.
And it's all, and all of the pain and suffering of hooking up with the wrong person is taken out of the equation, especially when you consider all the people who are on somehow doping their body up. I'm thinking birth control is a big one. It's actually screwing up the DNA chemical connection. It's getting thrown to the wind. So girls on birth control,
science
are
actually reveals
are hooking up with dudes that they should never have even talked to. And when they get out, and when they get off,
balance.
Exactly. So they get off the birth control.
So they find somebody attractive while they're on birth control that when they get off the birth control, they can't stand.
Exactly. So this DNA matching could be a really good thing.
How about this? Get out there and meet people. Just talk to people.
And
just throwing
then
that out there.
Use high-speed transportation to date around the world. That's item number 8 on their 8 ways dating may look different by 2040.
Wait, has this person never seen, what was the Sylvester Stallone going into the future? Demolition Man, right? They had the shell 6. No, they put the visors on and they sat there in the living room, and Rocky is all getting ready to swap some saliva, and she's like, oh, no, we don't do that anymore. That's what it's going to turn out. So you don't have to fast travel to some other part of the globe. You just put your visor on.
I think they're all ideas. Yeah.
No, what they're saying here, not that you travel across the globe to meet somebody to date, but your date, like we're going on a date, you get on a hyperloop and you travel at 500 miles per hour, and then you can go wherever. Or
have lunch in
they're
Paris.
actually saying that this could possibly eliminate the distance issues for long-distance relationships to help make them a little bit easier. But yes, you could be, let's go have lunch in Paris. Let's go to the Sphinx in Paris.
Let's jump in our
solar... That can be taken the wrong way.
Yeah, let's jump in our solar-powered rail system that doesn't really exist because it... solar power.
Government will build it. Hey, these are all interesting ideas, and I think if it's industries that pop up around it, I mean, you look at Match.com, you look at all these different companies that have grown up and become billion-dollar companies just on this premise of how do people connect, how do they meet people. I think it's kind of cool.
And then you look at Tay.
Creepy but cool.
You look at Tay, and you look at this app in Asia. That everyone seems to be dating, and it's, what is it? It's 2016. We're talking about 2040. No, man. Watch the movie. Watch the movie Her. Her. That's where it's going.
Yeah,
tell me about it.
Now I know what you're talking about.
All I remember is the AI is voiced by Scarlett Johansson, so she's already there. The movie is already off to a great.
It's sort of like Cortana or Siri, but way, way, way more advanced to the point where she can actually carry on conversations, and it's more AI than just search.
Right, and it starts out as an operating system.
Yeah,
just controlling the dude's calendar and a schedule, and it turns into a full blown relationship. And that's where it's going. I'm sorry,
like
man.
Fatal Attraction sort of thing.
It's not a bad thing. They were both happy with each other.
This has been Free Talk Live. We'll be back tomorrow. We're online in the meantime. freetalklive.com. It's been Darryl, Chris, and Conan.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! On your knees!
What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on